walk through Cairo in late December and you see a strange picture. Big banners. 70% off. Clearance. Discount week. Buy now. And yet, the shops are quieter than they should be. Not empty, but soft. People walk in. They look. They check the price tag. They do the math in their head. And they walk out. This is not just a shopping mood. This is what a liquidity crunch looks like in everyday life. Because a liquidity crunch is not only something that happens to banks or governments, it also happens to families and to small businesses. It happens when money exists on paper, but not in hand, not today, not when you need it. So in this episode, we decode one simple question. If discounts are everywhere, why does it still feel like nobody can breathe? And why does the most common sentence become, "I'm waiting for salary day"? The one concept, define it clearly. Let's define one term. Liquidity means, do you have cash available now to pay bills, buy essentials, and survive short shocks? Not wealth, not assets, not how much your apartment is worth. Liquidity is the difference between I can pay today and I need time. Now here is the key. A person can be okay on paper, but liquidly trapped in reality. A family can have a job, but no spare cash after rent, transport, food, and school. A shop can own inventory, but still be desperate for cash to reorder, pay suppliers, and cover loans. So when we say liquidity crisis in daily life, we mean cash flow gets squeezed so hard that people can't stock up, can't plan, and can't absorb price increases. The paradox: don't buy versus prices will rise. During periods like this, you often hear contradictory messages. Don't buy too much, demand will push prices up. And at the same time, prices will rise anyway, so buy early. That contradiction is not just confusion, it's a signal that the market is under stress. Because in a normal market, you don't need to beg people to stop buying, and you don't need to beg people to start buying in the same week. When both messages exist at the same time, it usually means demand is weak for many items, yet costs and expectations are still unstable, so everyone is trying to protect themselves. Consumers protect themselves by delaying purchases. Sellers protect themselves by discounting old stock. And everyone watches the exchange rate, fuel costs, and the next price adjustment. What people actually see: concrete price tags. Let's make this real, with examples that people literally see on shelves. You might hear prices like sugar dropping from around 34 Egyptian pounds to 32 Egyptian pounds in some discount campaigns. Rice dropping from around 28 Egyptian pounds to 26 Egyptian pounds. Cooking oil moving around 130 Egyptian pounds to 120 Egyptian pounds in certain promotions. These are small decreases. They look like relief. But here's the reality. If your budget is already maxed out, a £2 drop does not unlock buying power. Because the real wall is not price level. The wall is timing and cash in hand. You can't stock up for Ramadan. You can't buy bulk. You can't build a buffer. You buy today's meal, and you hope next week is survivable. Now look at bigger ticket items. A refrigerator might be shown as was 32,000 Egyptian pounds, then 35,000 Egyptian pounds, then discounted to 33,000 Egyptian pounds. A washing machine might jump from 18,000 to 20,000, then discounted to 19,000. This kind of discount is often not a real discount. It's frequently a relabeling strategy. Raise the sticker, then cut it, so the buyer feels a win. But even if the discount were real, it doesn't matter if the buyer can't finance it or can't take on another payment. Because again, liquidity is the gatekeeper. However, a quick cited example, Barakat Safaa. And this stress shows up even in seasonal products. For example, Egyptian media recently quoted Barakat Safaa, vice head of the stationery and toys division at the Cairo Chamber of Commerce, saying Egypt produces about 5 million Ramadan lanterns with an estimated market value around 800 million Egyptian pounds. That's not just a fun seasonal detail, it's a cash flow story, because if a market produces millions of units for a season, and the season is approaching, but consumers are cautious, then producers and sellers are sitting on inventory that must convert into cash. Inventory that doesn't sell becomes a weight: storage costs, loan pressure, supplier payments, and fear of the next cycle. The household cash flow trap. Simple math. Now let's zoom into a household. Imagine a young couple. They don't live in luxury, they're normal. Income, 15,000 Egyptian pounds per month. Let's be generous and call it stable. Now the monthly reality. Rent, 8,000 to 14,000 Egyptian pounds, depending on area and renewal shock. Transportation, 2,000 to 3,000 Egyptian pounds. Food basics, 5,000 plus Egyptian pounds for a household, often more. School, medicine, phone, electricity, emergencies, everything else. Even if you argue about exact numbers, the structure is obvious. One line item moves, rent doubles, transport rises, food rises, and the budget snaps. So when you see 32 instead of 34 on sugar, that doesn't fix liquidity. Because the family is not deciding between two brands of sugar. They are deciding between paying rent, paying transport, and buying protein. This is why many people become payday to payday, even if they are employed. And once you live like that, you lose the ability to buy early. You cannot prepare for Ramadan in January, because January itself is already a problem. The small business loop, why discounts signal stress. Now look at the other side, the seller. A shop owner wants to sell, not because he's generous, because he needs liquidity. He has inventory from last season. If it stays in storage, it costs him money, and he can't reorder without cash. He also faces higher electricity and transport costs, tighter credit, higher financing costs, and unpredictable demand. So he discounts. But often it's not the new collection, it's the old stock, and consumers notice. So they wait even more. Then February becomes the real sale month. Everyone delays purchases until the final clearance. This is rational behavior in a stressed economy. When you can't trust prices, you delay. When you can't trust income stability, you delay. But that delay has a consequence. It crushes turnover. And turnover is oxygen for small business. Why this becomes a system problem. Here is the chain reaction. 1. Households can't stock up. Demand becomes thin and late. 2. Sellers can't convert inventory into cash. They can't reorder. 3. Factories can't predict demand. They reduce production or hold back. 4. Jobs and wages don't grow. Households stay trapped. 5. The economy looks stable in a headline, but weak in daily life. This is how an economy becomes stuck in a low-energy cycle. Not total collapse, not full recovery, just chronic tension. And you can see it in the most human way. People stop buying joy items. Holiday gifts shrink. Decorations disappear. Seasonal rituals become old reuse. Not because culture vanished, because liquidity vanished. Real discounts versus sticker theatre. Let's separate two types of discounts. Type A, real liquidation. Seller truly reduces margin, because storing inventory costs more than taking a loss. This signals stress and liquidity need. Type B, sticker theatre. Seller raises the price first, then discounts back down. This is psychology, not relief. Both happen. But here's the key. Even real liquidation won't restore demand if households are cash constrained, because demand is not only about price, it's about income timing, debt obligations, rent shocks, and fear of next month. This is why you can see 70% off and still see quiet stores. The most important signal, essentials also slow down. Now, When seasonal goods slow down, you can say, that's normal. People cut luxuries. But when essentials show weak movement, that's a different signal. If basic items like cooking oil, sugar, rice are discounted and people still buy cautiously, that suggests one of three realities. 1. People already bought earlier and are stretched. 2. People truly have no spare cash until salary day. 3. People expect further discounts and delay even essentials. None of these is good. They all point back to liquidity. What to watch next? January, February. If we want to track this without emotions, here's a simple watch list. Watch Signal 1, rent renewals. If rent resets keep jumping, liquidity will keep breaking households. Watch Signal 2, payroll timing stress. If the market wakes up only around salary and pension days, cash flow is the core problem. Watch Signal 3, credit conditions. If consumer installment plans expand aggressively, it can temporarily lift sales, but also increase fragility. Watch Signal 4, inventory liquidation. If we see larger and earlier clearances in January, it means sellers are desperate for cash, not optimistic. Watch Signal 5, food promotions intensity. If basic goods need constant promotions to move, real purchasing power is weak. Close, grounded takeaway. So what is the real story? It's not people don't buy because they don't want to. It's that the economy has pushed many households into a new mode, survival cash flow. When you live in survival cash flow, you don't build buffers. You don't plan months ahead. You don't stock up early. You wait. You wait for salary day. You wait for discounts. You wait for maybe next month. And that waiting becomes the economy. This is why liquidity is not a technical word, it's a lived experience. And if we want a real recovery, the key question is not, how big is the discount? The key question is, how many families have enough room to breathe? Because until households have breathing room, the market can hang banners all year, and it still won't feel like a normal life.